Oh my gosh, 2 videos in 1 week. What? So, I don't know. I wasn't actually planning on making this video, but I feel like if I do a boyfriend tag video, that the only logical one to make in conjunction with that would be my coming out story. So let's start from the beginning. So, I guess for me, um, I was probably in high school when I started realizing that I found guys, attractive. And, maybe like sophomore, junior year. And, in high school, I was definitely just more the academic, kind of just socially awkward kid. I could talk to people and interact with them, but I never really hung out with people outside of, school and I never went to a single party. I mean, I didn't hook up or have my first kiss or whatever you want to call it until college. I was very much focused on school. I got to college and, I hooked up with a guy who I did meet online. And, I think one of the things about being in the closet that can be so tough and so dangerous even is that when you can't just go out and meet people, you rely on the internet to find someone who you're attracted to, whether it's for love or hookups or anything like that. And it's a dangerous place out there. I mean, I'm very lucky, that I've never had any sort of extreme, I don't know what you want to call it. Just I've never had any really bad experiences from that. I mean, I've had bad hookups, but nothing that was life threatening. I went for pretty much freshman, sophomore, and first half of sophomore year. I was totally closeted, but I knew I liked guys, but I actually wasn't sure if I liked girls. And when I first started coming out to people, I told them I was bi, and I did make a video about my take on bi guys, and I did come out as bi not because I thought it was easier. The reason I came out as bi was because I knew I was 100% attracted to guys. Well, I guess not 100%. I knew I was attracted to guys, but I didn't know if I was actually attracted to girls just because I never, had any kind of, sexual contact with a girl, not even a kiss. Then during one of my fraternity's parties, we did a party called Tour de Franzia, good old Franzia boxed wine. And, I got very drunk, and one of the girls from the sorority who was on my team and I were dancing, and we made out. And that was pretty much the moment I realized I had no attraction to girls. It's not a dig at all on the girl who I made out with. She's a very pretty girl. I just, there was no spark. And so I don't know if you're ever going to watch this. I'm not going to say your name, but thank you for helping me realize I am 100% into men. Um, but anyway, I had already started coming out to people at that point. And so, the first people I told were two of my friends, Ben and Mel, or Melissa. I knew the two of them would be cool with it. So it was almost kind of like, training wheels. I knew I wouldn't lose them as friends just because I knew how open they were. One of the people I was the most scared to tell was my best friend, Mike. And Mike and I, you guys saw him in one of my videos. We had met since day one. He was in my freshman orientation group. We lived in the same dorm. And we really just hit it off just because, we had a lot of the same interests, very similar personalities. And, he was just always someone I knew I could talk to. And the thing with him is that he's just one of the most unpredictable people I know. And I mean that in a good way. There's never a dull moment with him. You never know what he's going to say. But because of that, too, coming out to him was scary because I didn't know how he would react. He could take it very well, or he could take it poorly and cut me out, or anything in the middle. And if the dynamic of our friendship changed even just like a little bit, it would hurt just as much as if he cut me out because it still shows that it bothered him. So I tried planning it out with Ben and Mel, and we came up with this brilliant plan that I would sit all three of them down and tell them, because Ben and Mel know. But I figured maybe if it's in a group, it's not as direct, so it's not as intense. So I'm like, great, this is perfect. Come winter break, sophomore year, I was still a chemistry major at the time, and I got out of lab early. It was like the last lab, and Mike's a bio major. And so he was out of lab early, and he just came. He's like, yo, dude, let's hang out. So he came to my room. We were just hanging out. I went on my computer. I was just going to go Facebook up. He was on his phone. And not one of my proudest moments, but I have a Mac, and I don't know how familiar you all are with like Safari or any of the way the browsers the way the MacBook works. But if you have Windows minimized, your MacBook assumes that when you click on the internet browser, you want that window to fly back up again. And I may have been looking at some not suitable for work stuff. So up flies that. I freak out. I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to close it. And I just hear behind me, dude, what is that? I'm like, that would be porn, and I'm bi. All in like one breath. So you can imagine, if you're not ready for that, like Mike wasn't, it's a bit of a shocker. So he was like, what? So long story short, we talked about it for an hour. He was totally cool with it. He said at the end of the day, he was more shocked at how it happened than what I told him. And then after that, he was like, yeah, dude, you want to go to the gym? And it was like nothing had changed. And I couldn't have asked for a better scenario. And, you know, it just kind of shows that our friendship could handle the most crazy way I could come out to someone possible. And we're still best friends today. So thank you, Mike. You know, and then over time, I gradually told more people. But once I realized I was gay, you know, it was kind of weird. I almost had to like come out again. And it was kind of guys like, oh yeah, actually I'm not bi, you know, I'm definitely gay. So my mom, when she heard, took it fairly well. The thing that really upset her the most wasn't the fact that I like guys. It was more, she was just really worried that I was going to have a really hard life. But I, you know, reassured her. I'm like, Mom, all of my friends are behind me. I have such a great support system, and it's a different time. And then I started my junior year, which is when I actually joined my fraternity, and I was really scared about people knowing. Some of the brothers did know, who like I knew personally before I joined, and they were okay with it. So I went on, you know, everyone thought I was straight. That's when I made out with that girl, and people were like slapping me on the back because I never did things like that. Big surprise, why not? People found out. I told my dad eventually. My dad's one of those guys who, he's very non-confrontational. And so, you know, obviously it's a really tough thing to take in, but he was like, okay, we'll just, you know, we just didn't talk about it for a while. He was never angry. He was never, you know, flipping out on me for it. We just didn't talk about it. Our relationship didn't change though, which I think was the biggest part for me. We were still able to joke around and talk about things, and he's come so far since then. One of the big things for me now that shows me how much he's trying to make it work is that I was literally moving things into the room I'm in right now, which is where Ted usually stays. I just had to put something in there, and my dad's like, oh yeah, when you're done putting that in Ted's room. And I had never heard him call this room Ted's room. So it really showed me that he not only accepts that I'm gay, but that Ted is my boyfriend and part of this family. And it was such a subtle thing, but it meant the world to me, and I couldn't have asked for anything better. And yeah, I mean, those were really the big moments for me. My senior year, I was actually totally out. People don't realize that because most people in my life didn't know. My philosophy was that if someone asked me, I would be 100% honest with them. But I wasn't going to just sit down and be like, hey, guess what? I'm gay. If they really want to know, ask me. There's nothing wrong with asking the question. I've had a lot of funny moments along the way when people didn't know and others did. One of them was my senior year fraternity formal. I brought my friend Catherine, who is gorgeous. She is a beautiful girl. So I was introducing her to some of my brothers, and so we walked around the corner, and I found out from one of my girlfriends later, who was there, that as soon as I rounded the corner when I was out of earshot, the guys were just like, we don't get it. Alex doesn't talk to girls ever. And then he shows up with the hottest girl to formal. And, you know, I'm like, well, part of that's because I like to dance. And I was always the first one on the dance floor and the last one off the dance floor. So, I mean, there were signs. I mean, come on, guys. I never wanted to hook up with girls. I was really into dancing with girls and not doing anything with them. Come on. They've been a great support system. So have all of my other friends. And they've really just helped me kind of be who I am today. And, you know, now I don't feel any awkwardness when I say not only am I gay, but I have a boyfriend who I love very much. Broadcasting it to the world now is a different thing, although I guess I don't know how much of the world is actually going to see this video, but whether one person sees this or 10,000 people see this video, that's my coming out story. I'm very blessed that I have not lost a single person out of my life who knows that I'm gay. I know that my story is not the norm. You know, it's not always the case where everyone accepts you. I'm very lucky, and I couldn't ask for better people in my life. And so, thank you to all of my family and friends. You guys are amazing, and I love you all. Don't worry, Ted. Not as much as I love you, but I do love all of them. Comment below with anything you'd like to, whether they're questions, comments, concerns. I'll probably inevitably get one of those biblical, like I'm going to hell things, but you know, I don't really know them, so I'm happy with who I am, and I'm not going back in the closet anytime. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm out, and I'm very happy.